Let's talk about the only 7 lures you're gonna need for pre-spawn early spring bass fishing. All the videos that I see on here, they're all from like California and Tennessee, all these states that they're probably already done bed fishing by now. Up here in Maine and in a lot of these northern states, there's still people ice fishing in some places. So not everything is one for one. You can't just use the same baits there that you can here. And I feel like these northern states, especially Maine, underrepresented. First thing I want to talk about is a shaky head worm. There's not much to say about these. We know that they work. You can move them slow, you can work them a little bit faster. Whatever they need, you can get it from this. They're gonna fall nice and enticing down to the bottom, get in the strike zone quick, and they're gonna look real good as just a snack for these bass. Come hammer on. Spinner baits. Now the size and the color, that's gonna vary depending on where you're fishing, but you're gonna have to choose whether you want a Colorado blade or a willow blade. And that's just gonna be determined by how much thump they want at that particular time. You're gonna have to choose whether you want a subtle small tail like this on your trailer or a big paddle tail to give it some flop and some thump. Everyone's favorite, the drop shot. So if you know where the fish are, if you have a general idea, like let's say you find, you know, a rock pile somewhere between where they're spending their winter and where they're coming in to spawn, you can drop this right there, put it right where you know it needs to be, and it's just floating right off the bottom, right where those fish are looking, and they'll snatch these up. Crankbaits. How much time you got? There's so many of these. You get a square bill like this one, proven winner. This is a beautiful, beautiful lure actually. Deep divers work great. Get down deep. If they're out a little bit deeper, you can run these, smack them against the rocks on the bottom, and get chewed up. Old timers would call this a rattle trap. This actually is a rattle trap, but any lipless crankbait, these are killer. This is the Vibe X from Megabass. Not even sure if this is a crankbait or not. I don't know. I bought it last year. I'll tell you, early spring around rocks, whew, this is killer. For all your crankbaits this time of year, do not sleep on this red color here. Crawfish around this time of year, they're gonna have a redder, more orangey color than their normal kind of faded green. So if you can get a mix, this is a great time of year to throw this around. Obviously, it's the same as the fishing. So just because, you know, it's the time of year that they're red in Texas doesn't mean that's the time of year they're gonna be red in Maine. But you know, always have a red tied on this time of year because it could absolutely save your day. Jigs, especially bite-sized jigs, kind of like this one. You know, cut that plastic down, make it a nice, easy chomp down. They get right down in the strike zone. This is the kind of profile they're looking for, whether they want something long or, you know, something more like a craw. Bring 2 different kinds, play around till you figure out what they like. Either way, the jig is absolutely stellar choice this time of year. I love small paddle tail swim baits this time of year. You can rig them keel weighted, you can put them on a jig head like I have this one, and just run them along the bottom as slow as you need to, as fast as you need to. You can cover a bit more water than with something like the drop shot. You still got that fish profile. You know, if this is what they're looking for, you're gonna smash. Without a doubt, the most effective bait in the early spring is gonna be the jerkbait. If you're in a place like Maine or any of these cooler states, these will single-handedly extend your season by so much. They work so good when it's cold out, they work so good when it's hot out. So any extremes, this is always the first thing I have tied on. You can work them fast, you can work them slow, and they just sit there, and on the pause, you are just gonna get absolutely munched. You can pick your colors, you can pick how far down they dive. Do not be afraid to throw these in murky water either. Just pick a color that's like dark or bright with some silver for the flash. And even in murky water, this will get them. If anyone's familiar with Lake Arrowhead, it's murky water. We couldn't buy a bite. I bought one of these, and I guess I did buy a bite, because as soon as I started throwing these, I started smashing. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe.